What if I told you that right now, somewhere in the world, a powerful witch is trying to change the fate of a chosen one? Sounds crazy, right? But in the realm of spirituality and magic, this clash between free will and destiny isn't just possible, it's happening all the time. Today, we're diving deep into this mystical battle, exploring what really goes down when witches dare to challenge the path of those marked by fate. Get ready for a mind-bending journey into a world where magic and destiny collide. Picture this. On one side, we have witches, masters of magic, benders of reality. On the other, we have chosen ones, individuals picked by the universe for great things. Now, what happens when these two forces meet head-on? That's what we're here to uncover. This isn't just about waving wands or casting spells. It's about the very fabric of reality and the age-old question, can we really change our fate? Think about it for a second. Have you ever felt like you were meant for something big? Like the universe had plans for you? That's a taste of what it's like to be a chosen one. But now imagine someone with incredible power deciding they don't like your destiny and trying to change it. Exciting? Scary? Maybe a bit of both? That's the world we're stepping into today. Now, you might be thinking, hey, I'm not a witch or a chosen one. Why should I care? Well, here's the thing. This battle between fate and free will isn't just for magical beings. It's something we all face every day. Every choice we make, every path we take, we're either following our destiny or trying to forge a new one. Understanding this cosmic tug-of-war can give us insights into our own lives and the power of our choices. But there's more. This clash between witches and chosen ones isn't just about individuals. It's about the balance of the entire universe. When someone tries to change fate, it's like throwing a stone into a calm pond. The ripples spread out, touching everything and everyone. By the end of this journey, you'll see the world around you in a whole new light. Let's start by breaking down what we mean by chosen ones. These aren't just random lucky people. Chosen ones are individuals who have been selected by fate, the universe, or some higher power for a specific and usually very important purpose. Think of them as the main characters in the story of life. They're the ones destined to save the world, bring about great change, or fulfill ancient prophecies. Now, being a chosen one isn't all fun and games. Sure, it might sound cool to be picked for something big, but it often comes with a heavy burden. These folks often face huge challenges, tough decisions, and sometimes even life-threatening dangers. It's not a path for the faint of heart. When we talk about the destiny of chosen ones, we're talking about something really powerful. It's like a cosmic roadmap laid out just for them. This destiny isn't just a suggestion. It's a force that shapes their entire life. It guides their steps, presents them with specific challenges, and ultimately leads them to fulfill their greater purpose. Think of destiny like a river. It has a natural flow and direction. Just like a river shapes the land around it over time, a chosen one's destiny shapes their life and the world around them. It's a force that's been in motion since before they were born, setting up the perfect conditions for them to become who they need to be. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Is this destiny set in stone? Can it be changed? That's the big question at the heart of our story. On the surface, you might think, well, if it's destiny, it can't be changed, right? But the universe isn't always that simple. Destiny, as powerful as it is, isn't always a straight line. It's more like a winding path with many possible branches. While the ultimate destination might be fixed, the journey to get there can vary. This is where our witches come into play. They see these branches, these possibilities, and some of them think, hey, maybe I can steer this chosen one down a different path. Now that we understand chosen ones and their destinies, let's talk about the other players in this cosmic drama, the witches. When we say witches here, we're not talking about the stereotypical image of old ladies with pointy hats stirring cauldrons. No, the witches in our story are much more complex and powerful beings. In the world we're exploring, witches are individuals with the ability to manipulate the energies of the universe. They're not bound by the same rules as regular folks. These witches can see beyond the veil of everyday reality. They can peek into the threads of fate and, more importantly, they have the power to try and change those threads. Witches come in all shapes and sizes. Some are ancient and wise, having lived for centuries and seen the rise and fall of civilizations. Others might be young and ambitious, eager to test the limits of their powers. There are witches who work in secret, hidden away in forests or caves, and others who might walk among us, blending in with the crowd. The magic these witches wield isn't just about turning people into frogs or making things float, though they can probably do that too. Their magic is deeply connected to the fundamental forces of the universe. They can read the stars, communicate with nature spirits, and even peer into possible futures. This level of power gives them a unique perspective on fate and destiny. Where most people see a fixed path, witches see a tapestry of possibilities. And some of them believe they have the right, or even the responsibility, to make changes to this tapestry. Now, you might be wondering, why would these witches want to mess with a chosen one's destiny in the first place? Well, the reasons can be as varied as the witches themselves. Some witches might have noble intentions. Maybe they've foreseen a terrible fate for the chosen one and want to spare them pain and suffering. They might believe that by changing the chosen one's path, they can bring about a better outcome for everyone. On the flip side, there are witches who might have more selfish motives. Perhaps they're jealous of the chosen one's importance and want to derail their destiny out of spite. Or maybe they believe that by controlling a chosen one's fate, they can gain more power for themselves. Then there are the witches who simply love to shake things up. They see the predetermined path of a chosen one as a challenge, a puzzle to be solved. These witches might not even care about the outcome. They just want to see what happens when they poke at the threads of fate. This brings us to a big ethical question. Is it right to try and change someone's destiny, even if you think it's for the better? It's not an easy question to answer. On one hand, if you could prevent someone from suffering, wouldn't you want to do that? If a witch sees that a chosen one is destined for a life of hardship and pain, isn't it compassionate to try and change that? But on the other hand, who's to say that the witch knows better than fate itself? Maybe those hardships are necessary for the chosen one to become who they need to be. Maybe by trying to help, the witch is actually interfering with something much bigger and more important. It's a classic example of the road to hell being paved with good intentions. A witch might think they're doing the right thing, but they could end up causing unforeseen consequences that ripple out far beyond just the chosen one. Now that we understand who the players are in this cosmic drama, let's dive into what actually happens when a witch decides to challenge a chosen one's destiny. Buckle up, because this is where things get really wild. When a witch goes up against destiny, it's not just a simple matter of casting a spell and boom, everything changes. No, it's more like an intense tug-of-war between two incredibly powerful forces. On one side, you have the witch with all their magical knowledge and power. They're pulling with everything they've got, trying to bend the path of fate to their will. On the other side, you have the immense force of destiny itself, a cosmic current that's been flowing since the beginning of time. This clash creates a kind of magical storm. Strange things might start happening around the chosen one. They might experience vivid dreams or visions, feeling pulled in different directions. The very fabric of reality around them might start to warp and twist as these two forces battle it out. Here's the thing about messing with fate. It's never just about one person. When a witch tries to change a chosen one's destiny, it sets off a chain reaction that can affect the entire world. Think of it like this. A chosen one's destiny is like a big, important thread in the tapestry of reality. If you pull on that thread, you're not just changing one small part, you're affecting the whole picture. Other threads start to move and shift in response. This means that the witch's actions could have consequences far beyond what they intended. They might save the chosen one from one fate, only to unknowingly set them on a path that leads to something even worse. Or their meddling might cause problems for other people whose lives were supposed to intersect with the chosen one's original path. So what actually happens when a witch challenges destiny? Well, there are a few possibilities. Destiny wins. Sometimes, no matter how hard the witch tries, destiny proves too strong to change. The chosen one ends up fulfilling their original fate, though perhaps in a different way than expected. This outcome shows just how powerful and resilient destiny can be. The witch succeeds. In some cases, the witch might actually manage to change the chosen one's path. This could lead to a completely different future, for better or worse. But remember, success doesn't always look like what we expect. There might be unforeseen consequences. A new path emerges. Often, the result is somewhere in the middle. The witch's actions and destinies create a new, compromised path. The chosen one still fulfills their ultimate purpose, but in a way that neither the witch nor fate originally foresaw. Reality breaks. In rare and extreme cases, the clash between witch and destiny is so intense that it actually damages the fabric of reality. This could lead to all sorts of chaos, time distortions, parallel universes, or other mind-bending phenomena. Now, you might be wondering, what about the chosen one in all this? Don't they have a say? And that's a great question. The chosen one isn't just a passive player in this cosmic game. Their own choices and actions play a huge role in how things turn out. A chosen one with a strong will might be able to resist both the witch's influence and the pull of their original destiny, forging their own path. On the other hand, a chosen one who's aware of the witch's attempts to change their fate might choose to embrace those changes or fight against them. Their beliefs, their values, and their own magical abilities, if they have any, all come into play. This adds another layer of complexity to the whole situation. It's not just witch versus destiny. It's a three-way dance between witch, destiny, and the chosen one themselves. One thing that's really important to understand is that trying to change fate always comes with a price. Magic isn't free, and neither is messing with destiny. For the witch, the cost could be physical, mental, or spiritual. They might drain their magical powers, age rapidly, or even lose their connection to magic altogether. In extreme cases, witches who go too far in challenging fate might find themselves erased from existence. The chosen one, too, might pay a price. Even if the witch's meddling seems to lead to a better fate, the chosen one might lose something essential about themselves in the process. They might forget important memories, lose connections with loved ones, or find that their new path feels somehow hollow or unfulfilling. And let's not forget about the wider world. The cost of changing a chosen one's fate might be paid by innocent bystanders. Wars that were supposed to be prevented might break out. People who were supposed to be born might never come into existence. The butterfly effect can be huge when you're dealing with the fate of someone so important. So what can we learn from all this? Why does this epic battle between witches and destiny matter to us regular folks? First, it teaches us about the power of choice. Even in a world where fate plays a big role, our decisions matter. The choices of the witch, the chosen one, and even the people around them all influence how things turn out. Second, it reminds us that actions have consequences, often far beyond what we can see. Just like the witch's attempts to change fate ripple out to affect the whole world, our own actions, even small ones, can have impacts we never imagined. Third, it makes us think about the nature of destiny itself. Is our fate set in stone, or is it something more flexible? Maybe our lives are like rivers. They have a general direction, but the exact path can change based on the landscape and the choices we make. Finally, it encourages us to think about ethics and responsibility. Just because we can do something, does that mean we should? How do we balance our desire to help others with respect for their own path and choices? As we wrap up our exploration of what happens when witches challenge the destiny of chosen ones, it's important to remember that there's no one simple answer. Each clash between witch and destiny is unique, with its own twists, turns, and outcomes. In some stories, the witch's interference leads to disaster. In others, it saves the day. Sometimes the chosen one fulfills their destiny despite everything, and other times they forge a completely new path. The possibilities are as endless as the stars in the sky. What we can say for sure is that these cosmic clashes remind us of the complex, interconnected nature of our universe. They show us that fate and free will, destiny and choice, are all tangled up together in the grand tapestry of existence. So the next time you're faced with a big decision, or you feel like fate is pulling you in a certain direction. Remember this tale of witches and chosen ones. Remember that your choices have power, that actions have consequences, and that sometimes, just sometimes, it might be possible to change your stars. But also remember this. Whether you believe in fate or not, whether you think your path is chosen or self-made, the journey is what matters most. It's in the challenges we face, the choices we make, and the connections we form that we truly become who we're meant to be. In the end, maybe that's the real magic. Not the spells of witches or the decrees of fate, but the simple, profound magic of being human, of living and choosing and growing, day by day, moment by moment, as we write our own stories in the great book of the universe. The cosmic chessboard, how witches play the game. When witches decide to challenge the destiny of a chosen one, it's not just a simple wave of a wand. Oh no, it's more like a high-stakes game of cosmic chess. These magical beings have to be smart, crafty, and always thinking 10 steps ahead. Let's peek into their playbook and see how they try to outsmart fate itself. First things first, witches don't just barge in and start zapping things with magic. They're usually much more subtle than that. Think of them as master puppeteers, pulling strings behind the scenes. They might use dreams to plant ideas in the chosen one's head, or arrange chance meetings that nudge the chosen one in a different direction. Some witches go for the long game. They might start influencing events years before the chosen one is even born, setting up dominoes that will fall at just the right moment. Others prefer a more direct approach, disguising themselves and becoming part of the chosen one's life as a mentor, friend, or even a rival. But here's the tricky part. The more a witch uses their magic to directly change things, the more noticeable their meddling becomes to the forces of destiny. It's like trying to sneak past a sleeping dragon. One wrong move and boom, you've got a very angry universe on your hands. Now, let's talk about the cool magical tools witches use in their destiny-changing quests. We're not just talking about wands and cauldrons here, though those might make an appearance too. Witches have all sorts of mystical gadgets and techniques up their sleeves. Crystal balls and scrying mirrors are popular for peeking into possible futures. This helps witches figure out which strings to pull for the best or worst, depending on the witch outcome. Some witches use special tarot cards that show the threads of fate, letting them see how changing one event might affect others. There are witches who brew potions of luck or misfortune, sprinkling them in the chosen one's path to tip the scales. Others might use enchanted objects, a ring that whispers suggestions, a cloak that hides the wearer from destiny's gaze, or a compass that points toward alternate futures. And let's not forget about magical allies. Witches might call on nature spirits, make deals with otherworldly beings, or even try to recruit other powerful magic users to help in their cause. After all, if you're going up against the universe, it doesn't hurt to have a few friends on your side. So, the witch has their plan, their tools, and maybe some allies. Now what? Well, this is where the real chess match begins. The witch makes a move, and then waits to see how destiny responds. Maybe they arrange for the chosen one to miss an important meeting. Will fate find another way to make that meeting happen? Or will the ripples of change start to spread? It's a constant back and forth. The witch might win some small victories, successfully changing little details of the chosen one's life. But then destiny strikes back, bringing unexpected events that push things back on track. It's like watching an epic tennis match, with fate and free will volleying back and forth. And through it all, the witch has to stay alert. They're not just playing against destiny. They've got to watch out for other witches who might have their own plans for the chosen one. Not to mention the chosen one themselves, who might start to catch on to what's happening and try to take control of their own fate. It's a complex, thrilling, and sometimes dangerous game. One where the stakes aren't just the fate of one person, but potentially the fate of the entire world. And the most exciting part? No one, not even the most powerful witch, knows for sure how it's going to end. Alright, so we've seen how witches plan and execute their attempts to change a chosen one's destiny. But what happens after they've made their move? What kind of ripple effects spread out into the world? Let's dive into the aftermath of this magical meddling and see just how big those ripples can get. You've probably heard of the butterfly effect, the idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world could cause a hurricane on the other side. Well, when witches mess with destiny, it's like they're not just flapping wings, they're sending whole flocks of magical butterflies into the world. Even small changes can have huge consequences. Maybe the witch prevents the chosen one from meeting their destined love interest. Sounds simple, right? But what if that love interest was supposed to inspire the chosen one to become a great leader? Now, without that inspiration, the chosen one might never step up to their role. And without the chosen one's leadership, a war that was supposed to be prevented breaks out, changing the course of history. Or let's say the witch succeeds in making the chosen one's life easier, sparing them from some fated hardship. Feels like a win, doesn't it? But what if that hardship was supposed to teach the chosen one an important lesson about compassion? Without that lesson, the chosen one might become arrogant and misuse their powers, causing all sorts of problems down the line. The point is, when you're dealing with the fate of a chosen one, nothing is small. Every change sends out waves that affect not just the chosen one, but everyone and everything around them. Here's where things get really interesting, and sometimes a bit scary. Witches, for all their power and foresight, can't always predict how their actions will play out. They might think they're making things better, only to find out they've made them much, much worse. Imagine a witch who sees that the chosen one is destined to die young, sacrificing themselves to save the world. The witch, feeling compassionate, changes things so the chosen one lives. Great, right? But then it turns out that the chosen one's sacrifice was supposed to inspire a movement that would bring peace to the world. Without that inspiration, conflicts continue, and even more people suffer. Or consider a witch who tries to make the chosen one more powerful, thinking it'll help them fulfill their destiny more easily. But that extra power goes to the chosen one's head, turning them into a tyrant instead of a hero. Oops. These unintended consequences are the universe's way of reminding us that fate is a complex web, not a simple straight line. Pull on one thread, and you never know what might unravel. Now, here's something really wild. Sometimes, when a witch messes with destiny, the universe fights back. It's like destiny has its own immune system, working to keep things on track. This might show up as coincidences that seem too perfect to be, well, coincidental. The chosen one just happens to be in the right place at the right time, despite the witch's efforts to keep them away. Or new characters might enter the story, fulfilling roles that were left empty by the witch's meddling. In extreme cases, the fabric of reality itself might warp and twist, creating alternate timelines or parallel universes. It's like the cosmos is saying, if you won't let this destiny play out here, fine. We'll make a whole new reality where it can happen. These cosmic course corrections can be subtle or dramatic, but they all serve the same purpose, trying to keep the grand story of the universe on track, even in the face of magical interference. We've talked a lot about witches and the universe, but let's not forget the most important player in all this, the chosen one themselves. How do they handle all this behind-the-scenes meddling with their fate? Let's step into their shoes for a moment. Imagine you're the chosen one. You've always felt like you were meant for something big, but you couldn't quite put your finger on what it was. Then, suddenly, weird things start happening. You have strange dreams, experience déjà vu all the time, and find yourself making choices that don't quite feel like your own. This is often how it starts, a slow awakening to the fact that something isn't quite right. The chosen one might start to notice patterns, coincidences that seem too perfect. They might get flashes of other possibilities, glimpses of the life they were supposed to live. For some chosen ones, this awakening is gradual. For others, it's like a lightning bolt of realization. Either way, it's usually pretty mind-bending. Imagine finding out that not only do you have a great destiny, but someone's been trying to change it. Once the chosen one starts to catch on to what's happening, they often face a big internal struggle. On one hand, they've got this sense of a greater purpose, a pull towards their original destiny. On the other hand, they've got the new path that's been laid out for them by the witch's interference. This can lead to some serious soul-searching. The chosen one has to grapple with big questions. Do I follow the destiny I feel pulled towards, or do I forge my own path? If someone's been meddling with my fate, does that mean I never had free will to begin with? And if I can change my destiny, should I? It's not an easy position to be in. The chosen one might feel angry at having their life manipulated, or they might feel grateful if the witch's changes seem to have made things better. They might struggle with feelings of doubt, wondering if they're really special enough to be a chosen one at all. Here's where things get really exciting. As the chosen one becomes more aware of what's happening, they often start trying to take control of their own fate. This is when they stop being a pawn in the game between witch and destiny and become a player in their own right. Some chosen ones might decide to embrace their original destiny, fighting against the witch's influence to get back on track. Others might choose to go along with the changes, but on their own terms. And some might decide to reject both paths and try to create a completely new destiny for themselves. This is often when the chosen one's true power starts to shine through. They might develop new abilities, find inner strengths they never knew they had, or discover that they have some magical talents of their own. It's like the act of choosing their own path awakens something deep inside them. Remember how we talked about the ripple effect of the witch's actions? Well, the chosen one's decisions create their own ripples. As they start actively shaping their own destiny, it affects everyone around them. Friends and family might find their lives changing in unexpected ways. Enemies might become allies, or vice versa. The chosen one's choices could reshape entire communities, or even change the course of history. And here's the really cool part. Sometimes, the chosen one's actions create ripples that counteract the witch's meddling in ways no one could have predicted. It's like the universe has a sense of humor, using the very person whose fate was tampered with to set things right again. In the end, whether the chosen one ends up following their original destiny, embracing the witch's changes, or forging a completely new path, one thing is certain: their journey is far from over. In fact, in many ways, it's just beginning. The clash between witch and destiny becomes a crucible, forging the chosen one into someone new. Someone who understands the weight of their choices and the power of their will. Someone who's ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead, destiny or no destiny. And isn't that, in a way, the most magical outcome of all? Legends and lore, tales of witches and chosen ones. Throughout history and across cultures, stories of witches meddling with the fates of special individuals have captured our imaginations. These tales aren't just entertaining. They're packed with lessons about power, choice, and the nature of destiny. Let's dive into some of these fascinating stories and see what they can teach us. One of the most famous tales of a witch trying to change a chosen one's fate comes from the story of Sleeping Beauty. In this classic tale, a powerful witch or evil fairy, depending on the version, curses a princess, trying to seal her fate. But other magical beings step in, attempting to soften the curse. This story shows us how multiple magical forces can be at play in shaping someone's destiny. It also highlights how even seemingly ironclad fates can have loopholes. The witch thought she had sealed the princess's fate, but love, in the form of a prince's kiss, proved to be the wild card that changed everything. The lesson? Destiny isn't always as fixed as it seems, and sometimes the smallest actions can have the biggest impacts. In more modern stories, we often see tales of chosen ones who aren't too thrilled about their destiny. Take Harry Potter, for example. While not exactly a story of a witch changing his fate, it does show us a world where prophecies and destinies clash with free will and choice. Throughout the series, we see various characters trying to interpret, fulfill, or even fight against a prophecy about Harry and Voldemort. Some, like Dumbledore, try to guide Harry towards his destiny. Others, like Voldemort, actively try to defy fate by attempting to kill Harry. This story teaches us that being chosen doesn't mean your path is easy or straightforward. It shows how our choices, even in the face of seemingly fixed destinies, shape who we become. Here's a twist on our theme. Sometimes, the witch and the chosen one are one and the same. In the musical Wicked, we see the story of a witch who was destined to be viewed as evil, but chose to forge her own path. Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, could be seen as both a witch trying to change fate and a chosen one fighting against her destiny. She uses her powers to try and make positive changes, even though it puts her at odds with the society around her. This story reminds us that destinies aren't always what they seem, and that sometimes changing fate means changing how we view the world and ourselves. What can we learn from these tales of witches and chosen ones? Here are a few key takeaways. Destiny is flexible. Even in stories with prophecies and fated heroes, there's usually room for interpretation and change. Choices matter. Whether you're a witch or a chosen one, your decisions shape your path and affect those around you. Perspective is everything. The same story can look very different depending on whose point of view you're seeing it from. Power comes with responsibility. Both witches and chosen ones often learn hard lessons about the consequences of using their abilities. The journey is the destination. Often, it's not about fulfilling a specific destiny, but about who you become along the way. Now that we've explored what happens when witches challenge the destiny of chosen ones, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What does all this magical meddling and fate-defying drama tell us about our own lives and the nature of the universe? One of the biggest themes we've seen is the eternal dance between fate and free will. Even in worlds where destiny seems set in stone, there's always room for choice and change. This reflects a deep truth about our own reality. We may not control everything that happens to us, but we always have a say in how we respond. Think about it like this. Life gives us a hand of cards, but it's up to us how we play them. Sometimes we're dealt a great hand, sometimes not so much. But a skilled player can win with a bad hand, and a poor player can lose with a good one. In the same way, our choices and actions can shape our destiny, whatever cards we've been dealt. Another big lesson we can take from these stories is the importance of perspective. A witch might think they're helping by changing a chosen one's fate, but from another point of view, they could be causing harm. The chosen one might see their destiny as a burden, while others view it as a great honor. This teaches us to try and see things from different angles in our own lives. Something that seems bad at first might lead to unexpected good, and vice versa. By broadening our perspective, we can make better choices and understand our own destiny more clearly. We've talked a lot about how changing a chosen one's fate can have far-reaching consequences. While our own lives might not have such dramatic impacts, the principle still applies. Every choice we make, every action we take, sends ripples out into the world. Maybe holding the door for someone puts them in a good mood, and they go on to brighten someone else's day. Or perhaps a kind word to a friend gives them the confidence to pursue a dream, changing the course of their life. We may not be able to see all the effects of our actions, but that doesn't mean they're not there. In many of these stories, we see that it's not really about whether the witch succeeds in changing the chosen one's destiny, or whether the chosen one fulfills their original fate. What really matters is the journey, the growth, the lessons learned, the connections made along the way. This is a powerful reminder for our own lives. Sometimes we get so focused on reaching a particular goal or outcome that we forget to appreciate the path we're on. But often, it's the journey itself that shapes us, teaches us, and ultimately fulfills us. As we wrap up our exploration of witches, chosen ones, and the tangled web of fate, let's bring it back to our own lives. We may not have magical powers or grand destinies laid out for us by the universe, but in a way, we're all chosen ones of our own stories. Like the characters in these tales, we face choices every day that shape our paths. We encounter obstacles, helpers, and sometimes even a bit of magic, though it might not look like the wand-waving kind. We have the power to stick to the path we're on, or to strike out in a new direction. So perhaps the real question isn't what happens when witches challenge the destiny of chosen ones, but rather, what happens when we challenge our own destinies? What happens when we decide to take control of our stories, to actively shape our futures instead of passively accepting whatever comes our way? Maybe, in doing so, we become both the witch and the chosen one of our own tales. We become the ones with the power to change our fates, and the ones whose choices ripple out to affect the world around us. In the end, whether you believe in destiny or not, one thing is clear: your story is yours to write. You have the power to make choices, to learn and grow, to forge connections and create change. You have the ability to look at your life from new perspectives, to see the magic in the mundane, and to recognize the ripple effects of your actions. So go ahead, be the hero of your own story. Challenge your destiny if you need to. Make choices that align with your values and dreams. Recognize the power you hold to shape not just your own fate, but to positively impact the lives of those around you. Because in the grand, cosmic story of the universe, you are chosen. Chosen to be exactly who you are, with all your unique experiences, talents, and potential. And that, perhaps, is the greatest magic of all.